we're going to try some Pilates moves using these props. So we're going to start off with using the slide. I'm using the slide underneath my knee, pulling out and then lifting up after that. So I'm pulling in, sliding out as far as I can, and then lifting the knee as high as you can. Really watch the opposite elbow and make sure you're still pressing into the ground and keeping that arm straight. Let's do that same exercise with a dumbbell. So for this one, you get a little bit more hamstring work because you're squeezing that heel in towards your glute to hold the dumbbell in place. Don't let it slip around. And here we're going to do the same thing, but with a ball. Now, the bigger the ball, the harder the challenge this is because you really have to pull in. And if you have the leg more open, that extension adds that much more work into holding the ball in place. Again, you're lifting the knee as high as you can, watching that left or opposite elbow as you open up. Okay, let's do it with the Pilates circle. So this is like a metal hoop that you're really bracing into place. It works a lot like the ball, but it's going to engage the muscles just a little bit differently, and it's also more stable. So squeezing in, lifting that knee straight out, make sure it's hip level. You don't want to kick back behind you. You want to make sure you keep in line with the hips and the knee. And now let's try some core. So we're going to bring that same slide, extend out, and then pull the ribs in tight to bring it back underneath you. Slide out as far as you can, and then pull the ribs in to slide back in. And it works a lot like the wheel, but you can also slip this slide out or move this slide out and use a towel or something that's just going to make the ground more slippery for you. Okay. We're going to do that same core work on the ground. I've got the dumbbell between my hands this time. Feet are nice and grounded. And one of the things you want to try to work on is pressing the low back down as you extend the arms. So then you get a little bit of shoulder work to add into this core work. And you're lifting up as high as you can. So as you reach forward, find that extension and then slowly lower it back down. Reach forward, find that extension, curl the belly button in, keep the chin lifted, and then bring it back down. Reach forward, find that extension, lift up even higher each time you try. Okay, let's do that same thing with the ball. I'm just going to tap the ball on the ground, and I'm starting off with the extension and finding that same lift up, but this time I'm going to keep my shoulders off the ground, head off the ground, reaching as far forward beyond the knees as you can. Good, and keeping your feet a little bit further out helps you to stabilize more. Bringing them more underneath you. You could even lift your heels off the ground if you wanted to add a little bit more work in here. Try to watch the elbows. This isn't a bicep or tricep work here. So the elbows in any of these variations, you want to stay nice and straight. So again, I'm going to use the hoop tapping down behind me as my stop point, and then I'm extending as far forward as I can. I'm just tapping the hoop down and then lifting up and extending forward. Good. Trying to keep shoulders and head off the ground. Try not to let your chin curl in towards your chest. You want to try to keep it as lifted straight up towards the ceiling as possible. Okay. And then we'll do the lower abdominals. So we're going to bring the feet to the slide this time. And you can do this with knees bent to make it a little bit easier as you pull forward. Okay. And again, you can always move that slide out, and you can use a towel on a soft surface, or if you have rugs, you can bring paper plates underneath your feet, and those will slide back and forth. It creates a less friction surface, just as well as having, this is like a cloth slider I'm using. Okay, lower abs, I'm going to lift the hips and curl in, just tapping the toes, squeezing the dumbbell between my thighs, lift and tap down. Good. And it's that squeeze right there that really targets the lower abs. So the more I can pull in and just pause right there, the more you're going to feel it in the abdominals. And you have a lot of control here because these are kind of calisthenic based. Okay, with the ball, if you can get the hips totally off the ground. So I bring my arms alongside the waist. I'm pushing through the hands to give a little bit of boost. And then I'm really using the core to stabilize as you send the legs up. Good. And then reach as far forward as you can. Try not to lift the low back away from the ground as you extend the legs out and away from your head. Good. Reach up. And then as you come down, press the low back down and reach the legs away. Good. Same action. I'm going to change the legs just a little bit so it's not the exact same exercise, but I'm still targeting lower abdominals. So I'm going to touch toes, keep the knees bent, and then lift hips as I pull in. Good. As the toes come down, really make sure that you're grounding the low back. Good. And if you want to take away the help of the arms, it really encourages the work of the core more if you bring your hands out in front of you. But keep pushing that low back down and then tap the toes. Good. Squeeze in to lift. Try to find like a 1 second or even 3 second hold as you lift the hips off the ground, and just holding and stabilizing that for a moment is a lot of the challenge. Okay, and the last one we're going to do is a straddle, pull out. So I'm going to be pushing the thighs down and then extending through the arms. Good. And I'm really working through the legs here because they're going to help to stabilize and make sure that my arms aren't going too far and I still have good control here. Moving from the slide into the dumbbell, now it becomes a little bit more arm work, a little bit more core work as I reach it up and back. Good. And I like this one for posture. As much as you can keep those arms next to the ears is going to make a big difference. So when your elbows start to bend in this position, you're kind of making it easier for your body by just softening the joints. And we want to really find that muscle strength. So keep the arms nice and straight. Same thing with the ball. I like this one the most. That means it was probably the easiest one. So I think I would recommend the dumbbell one if you're looking for the most challenge through these. Good. Arms nice and straight. Try to press through the palms to keep the tension in place instead of using your fingertips. And that part becomes even more important when we talk about using the wheel or the circle. So I open my fingers away and I'm just using the palms to hold it in place. And I'm using the bottom of the circle to really stop. That's my stop point. You can make this easier by bringing your legs closer together, and you can make it harder by bringing your legs wider apart from one another. Good. Really finding that extension as you reach up, and then reach it forward, bringing the chest nice and low. Thank you.